I clicked the wrong button.
Okay, what about
this
now?
Should be
Can
settled
you hear
now.
us
Yeah, okay.
All right.
This damn button.
Let's do our intro again.
I just want to vindicate myself. This program defaults to pump the same audio to them as it does to us, and then it also pumps it right back into these speakers and gives us that nice high-pitched squeal that we can't get rid of.
I think it also defaults to intelligent people, so if you're not intelligent, you can't.
Yeah, and that hurts. I'm not 10% smarter than the TV.
Definitely a big problem. So let's do this one more time. We've already practiced it once. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, for real this time, to an exciting episode of You Can't Brew That on Television. We are your hosts. I am the Reverend Ryan Bono.
And I'm Kyle Brewdog LaPointe.
And we are coming to you live from Dogleg Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas, like we do every Monday, helping you bridge the gap between frat boy and beer snob.
Well, not like every Monday.
Well, not every.
Because we're not Monday. 5 minutes late.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, you're right.
And normally we don't start without audio.
And I wasn't here last Monday.
That's true. So it wasn't like last Monday.
A few Mondays ago.
So it wasn't like that Monday.
Most Mondays.
Like a lot of Mondays.
A lot of Mondays.
Well, welcome to the show, guys. We've got a fun one today. We're going to be talking about primarily bottling off of kegs. And
this is something, a show that we kind of altered what we're doing here at the last minute. It occurred to us earlier today that we have competition coming up, and we need a bottled beer for competition. And we thought that was something we could share with you, the viewing audience.
Yeah, this is it's a pretty simple process, really, to brew. I mean, it seems like a lot to take something out of a keg and put it in a bottle. You need a few little items, but once you have those, it's very simple. And most of them, home brewers already have. You need a little racking cane. You need a number 2 stopper. Yep. Beyond that, you need a picnic tap for your beer and a bunch of clean bottles. After that, you're ready to go.
After that, you're ready to go. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Yep.
I might touch on some things going on over at RAR. They're up and running again.
Yep.
We're pretty excited about that.
What are you drinking right there?
First, let's talk about what we're drinking. We are actually drinking, and wow, there was a lot of pepper in that.
I'm telling you, the afterburners.
We are actually drinking right now the beer that we're going to be bottling later for competition. This is the beer that we brewed at the Iron Mash. And just to recap, we've talked about this a few times. The Iron Mash competition is a homebrewing competition that's very unique. You show up, you're given a box of ingredients, and you have to make beer using only those ingredients. And you have to use special ingredients. They give you a number of special ingredients you have to use. We chose pepper.
Right.
And we chose to make a Southern English brown out of that with that pepper and with those ingredients that we were given.
And we're limited to what we could make. And there was an obvious one. This year they also threw in the addition of you could not bring your own yeast. They had 2 different yeasts provided for you, and you had to use one of those.
And man, did they ever tailor-make the ingredients this year to Belgian beer.
Belgian beer.
They gave you a Belgian yeast. They gave you coriander, which is very common in Belgian beer. You see spicy,
or at least flowery, which the flowery taste and the herbal flowery taste is huge in almost every style of beer there, other than the dark ones, but they didn't give us any dark malt.
No, they didn't.
So, it was really, we felt like everybody was going to go that way, and after we talked to a lot of people...
it turns out that if we'd gone Belgian, we really would have been lost in the noise. There were a lot of Saisons out there, there were a lot of BPAs out there, Belgian Pale Ales. And so we decided to make, again, the Southern English Brown with the pepper. You see, looking at there, actually yours might be a little easier to see. It's got a nice dark color to it, but not too dark.
No,
It's kind of like a light brown. A lot of caramelized malt in there. We actually caramelized malt on the spot.
Yep.
Since they didn't give us enough caramel malt to start with.
We used the decoction mash like we'd made with one of our previous beers.
Absolutely.
Turned out great. We liked the flavor initially. But you never know. We fermented it at a good temperature, and we thought everything turned out good, and then we had to be kind of creative on how we got the peppers in there.
Kelsey is really in the spirit of it, by the way. She's drinking a pumpkin beer tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Pumpkin beer, Oktoberfest beer, very great beers for the fall. I love the fall. Because of Oktoberfest beer and pumpkin beer.
And you start getting into some of those specialty winter porters that can just be delightful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Winter is my
favorite
time for beer. You've got the Santa's Private Reserve coming out.
Yeah,
Anchor and Sierra always put out really nice end-of-the-year beers. And then one of my all-time favorites, the Pyramid Snowcap, is right around the corner.
Right. And these things have different kinds of spices from different plants and twigs and berries and whatever they can figure out.
Yeah.
But it's no, it's a lot of fun. We were happy with this beer. We can smell the pepper in it. We can taste the pepper a little bit.
The pepper, the smell of it really, when you give it a shake, it really jumps out at you. I've been really pleased with that.
And it's a lighter type of a pepper
Yep.
than what you would traditionally have as a black pepper kick you in the face. This is a more subdued pepper, so the flavor is more subdued, and it fits really well with the low alcohol beer like we made. I'm happy with it.
I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So I finished mine. You're getting close to the end of yours. What's the big tasting for tonight? What's the commercial tasting?
Well, I'm going to run out, and we're going to get Polliner from the garage in here when I go get the rest of it. So we'll do Polliner Oktoberfest. We've got Shiner Oktoberfest as well, if you want to try some of that. We've got a fridge full of leftover Oktoberfest. So,
my buddy Chris watching in the swamp. What's the name of that swamp down there? The Everglades. My buddy Chris watching the Everglades is drinking some Leinenkugels tonight.
some Leinies.
Yeah, he's drinking their Oktoberfest. He's really getting into the spirit of it. So while he's running out and grabbing the keg, I'm going to steal our script here for a minute because I totally forgot where I am. And there we are. We're talking about bottling tonight. And we're going to be bottling for competition here in a few minutes, but you're not always bottling for competition. A lot of times after you've made your beer, you might just be bottling for friends, or you might just be kegging. So we actually choose to keg and bottle, and you see him bringing the keg in right now. You can pour your beer directly from the fermenter into bottles and carbonate it using sugar. When you do this, you induce a secondary fermentation in the bottle. But what we've been doing here recently, the last couple years, is we've been kegging our beer and then pouring bottles off the kegs. This is a much, much simpler process. And really, bottling in mass anytime is a chore. It's a real chore. Which brings me back to the size of bottles that I was talking about just a minute ago. If you're going to bottle directly off a fermenter, and here we go, he's bringing a few beers in.
All right, I realized we had done Polliner, which is in there as well.
Yeah, that's fine though.
But I've got two different types of Spaten. They're traditional Oktoberfest, or maybe I've got like old Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I think these are the same beer.
These are the same beer, just different labels. So maybe we got last year's and this year's. One way or another, we're going to try some of these, drink them while we're working on the rest of our goodies.
Absolutely. And so then I was just talking about bottling beers directly off the keg.
Right.
And
Not that difficult.
Not that difficult. What an absolute chore it is when you're bottling beer directly out of the fermenter rather than kegging first.
It can be a total bear because you have to clean all the bottles, and you're talking for one batch of beer, 5 gallons, which is traditionally what people do. Eventually, you'll move to 10 gallons.
And yeah, I can't
and
even
by
imagine
then,
bottling 10 gallons.
Yeah, by 10 gallons, I'm really hoping you're kegging because it's just going to be a beating to try to do all of that at once. But you have to clean every bottle. And when I say clean every bottle, I want to hear the pain that other people have felt if they've tried this. Because cleaning every bottle, and then rinsing every bottle, and then sanitizing every bottle, and then re-rinsing every bottle, and emptying them and drying them. It's not that bad of a process when you have 5 or 6 people helping you.
Oh, yeah.
Then you clean the caps, and everybody has their job.
Now, you always had help, didn't you?
Richard and Sheena were our expert bottle cappers.
For years, when I first started home brewing, I was bottling by myself. Actually,
I imagine that was 3 or 4 hours.
Teddy helped a few times.
But you also bottled in some plastic.
Yeah, I used to bottle in plastic. I talked earlier about selecting your bottle, and plastic is definitely a good way to go. Actually, we
skunk-tastic, this one.
Yeah,
Still tastes good,
this one is really skunky too. Actually, I don't know what happened there.
Green bottles.
No, it must be.
Oh.
Yeah, we went to a roller derby match in January.
Yep.
And that was BYOB, so we bottled some beer into several 2-liter plastic bottles and brought that with us.
Worked great, and by the end of it we said, oh, we only brought 4 liters?
Yeah. Next time we definitely need to bring more beer.
We'll just bring the whole keg.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good idea next time.
We didn't have all the stuff to make it that easy to bring with us. We didn't get our little thing that you couldn't figure out how to use.
The little zappy thing that I'm apparently not intelligent enough to use.
He understands the principles and logics behind thermodynamics, but keg logic escapes him.
It's a bit much. It is a bit much.
We're gonna have a class on that one of these days, and I'll make you sit there and take notes while we're doing the class.
Good thinking.
Raise your hand, ask questions.
So what are we gonna do?
Are we gonna bottle? You want to do that right away?
Yeah, let's bottle.
Okay. So let me go grab everything. And
So earlier today, we went ahead and we cleaned and sanitized several bottles for competition. Competition bottles are there are very stringent rules on which bottles you can use. So while usually if you're just going to be drinking, no, not yet. If you're just going to be drinking your beer, you can really bottle whatever. In fact, these bottles that he just poured the spotting out of for us, we can reuse if we want. All you need is some bottle caps, like you see. Actually, I don't have any unused bottle caps. All you need are bottle caps and a capper, and you can reuse just about any bottle. But for competition, the bottles have to be just so, and you can see right here, they're just plain brown bottles.
And what I'm going to do here, first off, is I'm going to go ahead and hook some CO2, just a low serving pressure up to our keg. And that ought to give us a little bit of extra to push this stuff out. We've gone and taken this keg, and we've made it about 35 degrees. You want it as cold as possible. We've already gotten the carbonation in it when it was 50. Usually I do about 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And so now it's ready to go. It's got its carbonation. We make it as cold as possible without freezing it. And the idea there is the carbonation kind of dies down a little bit. And so when it gets into the bottle, we're going to have less carbonation than when it warms up. Thought process there, it'll retain more of its carbonation in the bottling process. You don't lose so much. So
And we've talked before about the importance of carbonation, especially when you're going for competition. Because an undercarbonated beer can hit you by, what did we determine, Kyle? An undercarbonated beer can hit you directly by 10 points and indirectly for another 15.
easily.
And we're talking at 50 points. So an undercarbonating can easily turn a world-class beer into a real lunker.
Yeah. And I may be going to get another CO2 tank here. I think I'll tell you about this fun one later, but we have a keg that's not doing so hot as far as keeping its air. So
that's
we
cool.
may have lost all our CO2 from this little tank. But what are you going to do? I'm just pouring a little bit of this out right now. Sorry, I'll move back in frame here. I'm just pouring a little bit of this out so that we get rid of some of the pepper flakes, because we bottled the pepper into the secondary. Don't have a lot of flakes. The way we try to do it, try to get not so many, but we did have a few. So I'm going to pull some of those out. It's nice and cloudy.
Oh yeah, very cloudy.
From moving it, we had gotten it nice and clear, but we moved the bottle or the keg in here, and so it's still coming out. Let me try to get a little more juice.
All right, so Kyle, are you actually going to run and grab another CO2 can, or are you just?
This has plenty.
You just hadn't turned it up enough?
I think it's more the maybe there's some pepper down on the bottom starting to get stuck.
And once again, we just sort of came up with this on the spot. So here we go. These are some of the issues that we deal with when we're bottling. It sounds like he's got it figured out.
Yeah, this has some pepper flakes in there, so I got tons and tons of pressure on here now, so we're good to go. I just want to make sure to take a whole pint or liter or whatever I got here, and we'll have to drink it. It's
we can't let that go to waste. There are sober children in China.
There are. And Zimbabwe. Let's see. We're looking better now. We're clearing quite a bit.
Yeah, it's clearing up quite a bit. Here, pour a little bit in here to check the clarity.
Okay.
Because that's already, there you go. Good. It's still cloudy.
I like it though. It's nice and it's starting to clear out a little bit. And if we lose a little bit for clarity, points wise, it's not going to be a bummer. But you know, it's a pretty good beer, so why risk? We can drink this tonight and be all right with it. Rather waste the spot than our beer.
Right. Definitely.
But that's clearing out. I can tell now.
Kyle, have you heard of oxygen absorbing caps?
Oxygen absorbing caps. I have not. Am I supposed to?
I was going to talk about it. I was thinking maybe you'd heard of it because you do a little bit more research on stuff like this. Apparently, if you're really freaked out about having your beer oxygenated,
Oxidized.
Oxidized.
Right.
Thank you. There's a company that actually manufactures oxygen absorbing caps.
Huh.
That will, as the name implies, suck the oxygen out of the bottle so that none of it gets into your
So
beer.
is that just like, do they have like some sort of a chemical reaction on the other side?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's possible to do it. Well, oxygen will change your beer taste, so you know it's going to do some things, and people go crazy with their beer.
Yeah.
So,
and that's something else that we've discussed here in the past is oxygen is the enemy of good beer. After your beer has turned from wort, after it's turned from wort into beer, you need to keep it away from oxygen because oxygen will make it taste stale. Might give it kind of a nasty cardboard type flavor. Nobody likes to drink cardboard. Most people don't like to drink cardboard. I'm pretty sure you can find somebody that'd be okay with it. So, well, oh, here he comes.
all right,
Let's talk about the little filling device that we've got
all right.
because I think people would be really interested in that.
So what I got here is your typical ordinary racking cane, and this racking cane is just what you get with every bottling device that you'll ever get, every prepackaged deal that you'll ever find for homebrewing. The second thing I've done is I've bought a small stopper, which is just a nice little rubber stopper, and it fits perfectly inside of a bottle cap. So this will fit just directly inside there. It's already pre-drilled. There's a hole in it. You can find these at any homebrew store or online, and you just slide that right on there. The concept here is we're going to connect this via our picnic tap straight to the bottle, and then this will be a pressure release. So the bottle will start filling up slowly, and then all that's coming out is the CO2, not the beer, the CO2. And when that CO2 gets to coming out of the bottle, then it will push all the oxygen out, and that'll help keep the oxygen from getting into the beer like we were talking about a second ago.
Yep.
So I've sanitized everything, but some of these things that are going to be hit, again, we keep our Everclear and water mix, and this is just like a rudimentary sanitizing solution that you can use at any time, and it pretty much kills just like you would have at a hospital. You're going to have alcohol swabs. That's the same premise, and it'll kill everything it touches that's bad. So although you can't not clean, you can't not sanitize, this is a great way for last second things. Spray my hands too.
So you see right now Kyle's spraying down his hands. He doesn't want to get any kind of bacteria into our delicious competition ready beer.
So let's see, one thing before I forget is the actual bottle capper.
Oh yes, we have to. Do we have sanitized caps?
Yes, we do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this up with a little more sanitized fluid there. And this will be Bono's job to go ahead and cap these. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take care of filling the bottle and getting it to Bono. And all I do is slide this picnic tap directly inside this hose. We're good there. I think I touched this on my shirt. I'm going to be careful just in case. Next thing we do is we fill up a bottle over here. And this may not work the perfect the first time, so we may end up with filling the bottles and then hitting all the bottles again after we're done. But you can see what I'll do is I'll burp this. You can watch this going up. I don't know if you can see this, but the beer is coming out, and you can hear this CO2. It'll just burp a little bit, and if I hold it on there, it'll get a little pressure, and you can just hear it burp out of there. We're going to do that with each of the beers. I'm going to go ahead and let that settle for a second because it's going to come out. What are you looking for?
I was just looking for the caps.
They're sitting right in front of the keg.
Yeah.
So there's another one. You can hear that pressure release, and it'll do it on its own, but I usually burp it, and that's what's going on. Yeah. So it's just filling this bottle up, and that first one we filled up, and it's got a little bit too much head, so we're going to let that settle down. This next one's going to do the same thing. We'll let it settle down. Don't want that one, but we'll just fill all of these up, and we'll get them a little squirt at the end to make it fill up with just the last of it. And you can see this is, I mean, it's a pretty simple process. We've cleaned, we've sanitized, we've rinsed all of these bottles, so they're ready to go. Everything that we're putting in here should be fresh beer, and it's coming out real clear. I'm happy with that. Bono, we may want to keep in order that we're capping these. because I would think we would want to turn in our later ones as opposed to the
good
earlier
thinking.
ones. Okay, this one's going to be ready to go.
Okay.
So, hold on. You got to make sure and let this beer come out first. Take this, you stick your thumb over the top, give it one little shake, then you put the cap right on there, and now it's pushed out all of the oxygen that's in that. Takes that capper right straight on there.
Boom.
Ready to go. Bottle of beer capped. So that was number 3, right?
Yeah, it was number 3.
Okay. So we're going along pretty smooth now. We're going to bottle 9 beers tonight. Everything's coming out nice and moving through. Beer's got good carbonation level coming out, right like we want. One thing to note is that you want to make sure, and this one's going to be good.
Okay.
Just take it before it's done gushing. And let me give it a little more. You see how it... You want it filled a certain height on this bottle cap, and that didn't quite get there. So that'll be better.
A lot of the judges at competition are very
Meticulous.
about how full your bottle is. It has to be a certain fill level.
And if it's not quite right, they'll let you know.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
One thing also to note while we're doing this is that when you're pressing on a picnic tap, if you take this picnic tap and you only press it down slightly, you're not going to get less flow, you're going to get more turbulent flow because it's still trying to push all of that out. So what a lot of people end up doing is they hold that picnic tap slightly less so that they think it's going to be less foamy. It's quite the opposite. It's going to be way more foamy. And I've done a bad job on those. So the more you let the CO2 stay in the bottle, the less the head pops out until the end. So I'm trying to burp this a little less because those have done a lot better. Ready? That one should be good to go. And our dogs are acting up, so if you hear them barking in the background, that's yeah, you don't need to go crazy with it. It'll go.
Yeah, I noticed that. I got a little bit carried away with that one.
Okay. So we've got 2 completely down. We've got 3 more that are almost ready, and we've got the last 3 that I'm going to hopefully be able to finish without having to second squirt it. And you notice Bono keeps rinsing his hands, which is a great thing. You don't want to accidentally get any buggies on there. And it's amazing how easy it is to get a beer infected. When we did all the judging for the Blue Bonnet, I'd say every 3rd beer was dramatically infected. Of course, the temperatures for storing that isn't always perfect. People have to transport it, so it's got all kinds of opportunities to get hot and have those buggies really go into overdrive. But all I can say is just sanitize and spray your hands, wash your hands. It's really not that hard to be clean when you're brewing. And after that, it's pretty easy. So this is going smooth. Everything's we've got now 5 of our beers capped, or 4 beers capped after this one. Did that one go right? Looks sideways.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, you pop the top there. Sometimes they don't always go on perfect. We're not using every type of bottle that's identical, so Bono's going to go ahead and snap this off and try another one. Let me give that a little squirt. Okay, and we're on the last few now. Bono's got a couple in front of him, and these should be ready to go soon. Just give it that last little squirt. And one thing I'd like to note here you go, Bono.
Oh, thanks.
One thing I'd like to note is that you make sure and clean the outside of these bottles when using this process, because you will get it dirty beyond belief, and they will be nice and loaded up with beer foam.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. Yeah, that one's crooked too. Just all kinds of
You ready
crooked.
on this one? This one's ready to go if you just want to pop that top on there.
This is one of the earlier ones, right?
Yeah, I just re-splashed it. Here you go, Bono. This one's ready to go.
This is one of the last ones.
Yeah. All right. So the last couple are ready to go there. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this here for now. Okay. There we go. Last one here.
About to be capped.
Another one. I try to use all the same caps, but sometimes they just don't always work. So let's hit that one again. Let me give that one a shot. The bottle may also be messed up. You never know. Let me give that one a go. Let's save this one for ourselves, mind you.
Somebody, Chris in the Everglades wants to know if we've come up with labels yet for our bottles, and this one actually doesn't have a name yet, does it? Oh, that's right. It's an English beer, so we called it Ye Olde Blimey Rubbish.
Yes.
Rubbish.
Ye Old Blimey Rubbish.
But we have not come up with a label for it.
I don't know if this one's gonna go. This bottle
I think
may
the
be a
bottle's
little deformed.
retarded.
So we're gonna go ahead and call that good.
Yeah, well, one bad bottle out of 9 isn't all that bad.
We'll use this one and keep it for ourselves, so we'll know that this one's ready to go.
Yeah.
When we try again, it's capped. I'm fairly certain, but I wouldn't put it into warm conditions. All right, so that was fun. Let's get back here. And
yeah, so there we go. You guys got a really neat live demonstration there of how to bottle your brew for competition. So,
all right,
I had fun doing it.
That was fun. That was pretty quick. I mean, as you can see, that was everything from start to finish, less the meticulous cleaning parts, and you're just ready to go on it. That's all you do. It's a very simple process, and as long as these beers will usually keep for several months. This method, I wouldn't try to bottle it and keep it for next year. That may be a little bit eccentric.
I mean, unless you've got a bigger beer that you're bottle fermenting, you can keep that for several years.
That's true. And those kind of beers, it's okay for them to have a little oxidation. That's normal. Yeah. So that's something else.
We were talking while you were outside getting the beer about different kinds of bottles you can bottle, and there's one more that I wanted to talk about. This is known as the Grolsch Swing Top.
Grolsch was actually a brewery that came up with this, and now it's just renowned as being their top.
Yeah, it's just the Grolsch bottle now. Mm-hmm. And you saw earlier that whenever we bottled a beer, we had to put the cap on it, the sanitized cap, and then bring the little capper down and finish it off. Well, with these, you just swing. It's a swing top, so you just swing the cap onto the top.
For all you swingers out there.
All you swingers out there, you pull it down, and that's it. Your bottle is capped.
Will you do it again?
Do it again, but way in front of the camera.
Way in front of the camera. Good idea.
So.
All right, so we're going to try this again.
So, oh God, that's so awful.
That's really awful. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottle.
What he's going to do is take the bottle. He's going to put the cap right on top.
Swings right on there.
It's going to swing right on top. The locking device is going to be pressed down. And that is it. Your beer is now locked.
And now Kyle, tell the audience that I'm going to now swing it open.
He will now swing it open. For all you swingers out there.
Just go like that, and your beer is open.
It's ready to go, and the beer is going to come into your bowl, mouth, glass, whatever.
We have a
question in the studio audience.
Can you use those forever and ever and ever?
What'll happen?
You can, as long as you're prepared to replace the guts. You'll eventually have to buy new metal parts for them and new gaskets.
Yeah, the gaskets go first, and the metal parts then get a little rusty.
The ceramic lid and the bottle itself, though, are pretty much...
Yeah, they're going to last a long
until
time.
you break them.
So, yeah, it's nice. They're reusable, very very good if you're into recycling or pretending. So now we've got this beer bottle. I'm excited, ready to go.
Especially having tasted it, it's very good.
And we're very happy with it. We think we got a beer that's at least worth a shot at winning. Last year,
Yeah, it depends on the competition, but I would easily give this beer somewhere in the high 30s. I mean, maybe even like a 40.
and I'll tell you right now, I got some news for everybody out there. Finally, years and years down the road, I got my BJCP scores.
Yeah.
And I did awful.
Oh,
Yes.
that's not good.
No, I did right about where I would have put myself, kind of middle of the pack. The way that test is set up, you get so many points for this, so many points for that, and I figured I probably got somewhere between a 50 and a 70. It's a difficult test. To get an A on it, people often retake it like 6 or 7 times. So you're pretty much happy with a B. You're okay with a C. D, it's good. And then there was me who didn't study, and so I missed all of the easy questions. If I got all the easy questions right, probably 10, 15 points worth of the
So
test.
you're saying that you're not a BJCP certified judge?
I am a BJCP apprentice.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I do have a rank, but it's the bad one.
It's just not a very good one.
So, but that being said, I'll give you my honest opinion and assessment on this test. I don't think it does an adequate job of allowing you to demonstrate your knowledge.
I said the same thing every time I failed a test in college.
I'm generally a pretty good test taker, but I generally didn't study for this. I didn't know I was going to take it till the last second. I know a lot more about beer than I did a year ago when we took this test 8 months ago. It would be a lot easier. But part of my problem with this is the second question on the test was, do you keep the style guidelines in front of you when you're judging? Do you read the style guidelines before you judge? And it says yes. And then you proceed to get to the tasting portion where you have to taste 4 beers, but you can't look at the style guideline.
That's rough.
And it's like, so you basically, it's a brutal amount of memorization. And if you're into that, that's okay. But
are they like thoroughly obscure styles, or
not necessarily? But they're not. You're not going to get like all easy ones either. I think we had like a Kolsch, and we had there was something else in there, Southern Brown or so. You're just not. I'm not going to memorize all the difference between those. I know a lot of them. I know a lot of the stuff, but ultimately, I'm going to. I'm only going to know to a slight extent.
Right.
Okay, I'll give you a basic knowledge of that beer, but I'm not going to be able to tell you it's a lightish brownish color and yada yada. I'll just know it's light. And, I'll know some of the flavor profiles. It's going to be malty versus it's going to be hoppy. But this requires a large amount of memorized knowledge, which it's okay. But I don't think that's what they're trying to get. When you get a judge inside of a BJCP, you don't.
At no point is a judge ever not going to have style guidelines in front of him.
Right, and so they stress that every time you sit down, whether you're an apprentice or a grandmaster or whatever the top rankings are, that you have the style guidelines and you read them with the person you're judging with. So, I like to have tests that are built more towards what the actual practical application is. But, it is what it is, and they made this test to make it difficult to become a high-ranking judge. So not only do you have to have a recognized palate, you have to have all this stuff memorized, all this knowledge. So one thing it does do, the people that have high scores know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So that it's right. But that it doesn't necessarily allow you to know what you're talking about and get a high score. That's not a predetermined notion. So, that being said,
so
it was still a fun
again?
experience.
The question everyone wants to know.
I will not take it again. It was not that much fun. The fact that it was 4-hour exam and 3 hours of handwriting, I don't believe in handwriting. I think everything should be done on the computer. So I'm kind of anti-handwriting, and I'm terrible at it. It hurts, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Sweet. So what do we do tonight?
Always an apprentice, never a master.
That's right. Always an apprentice.
Thank you, studio audience.
No, but it was fun. I recommend you take it.
All right.
I recommend anybody who's interested in beer go through the class and take it.
You don't want to endure failure alone.
No. I think you could do better than I did on this because I could give you a couple pointers and
Okay.
If you spent about an hour the night before memorizing 2 or 3 different things, you can improve your test score by 5 to 10 points.
Wow.
So
I might have to do that.
Yeah, I could. All you had to do is memorize all of the judging rankings and how much credit hours you need and how many times you have to go. All you have to do is memorize that. and you've got like 5 points.
And
I
bring a
think.
crib sheet.
So yeah, if you could.
Yeah. So what did we do tonight? We learned about bottling.
We learned about bottling.
We demonstrated. We learned bottling off of kegs. We demonstrated bottling for competition. Talked about that a little bit. Next week we've got a really exciting tasting. We're going to be tasting the Bellhaven Wee Heavy. This is exciting because that's the style of beer we're going to be doing for the Brewing Bowl.
Brewing Bowl.
As selected by you, the viewing audience.
And it's looking like more and more of a possibility that Oklahoma will be ipso facto the date of New Year's
be
Eve.
playing on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, so who knows?
That would be great. I mean, we'd love to do the show, and we could change it. I'm willing to change it. If we're on New Year's Eve as opposed to New Year's Day or something we're playing like that, maybe we talk about moving it a little bit.
We'll give it some thought.
But generally what we're planning on right now is New Year's Day. And, it's quite the possibility with Oklahoma having 5 wins.
Yeah, you never know. So we'll just have to wait and see. In case, for those of you that weren't paying attention, Oklahoma picked up its 5th win this weekend against some scrub from Austin, Texas. Some nobody cupcake.
It's safe to say that those two teams are both rebuilding, and although Oklahoma's 5-0, they have not looked impressive.
They haven't looked as bad as the other 5-0 team, Louisiana State.
Yeah.
So more about football some other time. And until then, just please keep in mind that we are not professionals.
So please try this at home.
Yay! Please crank like glass.
I like it, man. I'm happy with our beer.
Oh God, that is awful.